Let's talk about games, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the games that would rather have your money. Let's talk about games. Hey, I'm Alex and welcome to BoardGameCo. And does it make it any better if I told you that I did that for a bet? Because I didn't. I was just bored and amused, and maybe I should cut this. I'm going to get into editing. So, start hard scratch. I'm going to edit that out. And hi, guys. It's Alex from BoardGameCo, and let's talk about Kickstarter today. So, Kickstarter. Let's talk... I can't do this. I'm sorry. Okay, Spirits of the Forest. Spirits of the Forest Moonlight is a game that has 4 days to go, which means by the time you're watching this, it's almost over because it's probably 1 day to go. I'm going out of town for the weekend, and I'm filming this on Friday in case anything is out of date. Spirits of the Forest is a game that if you are interested in it, you might want to back it. You just might want to back it because this is a game that is pretty. It's gorgeous. This is by the creator of Northgard and obviously Spirits of the Forest because this is an expansion. This is not a standalone game. It's a scenario-based co-op multiplayer expansion for Spirits of the Forest. And despite having an okay rating, I mean, this is a 7 on BoardGameGeek. This is not knocking things out of the water, but people seem to like it. There are enough people that are interested in it. And if you look at the original Kickstarter, if you look at the original prices, this is one that did a decent job holding its value. Not selling for above its value, mind you, but on the secondary market, this is one where you can basically, I mean, if you bought the original Kickstarter, people wanted this, and it's decently priced. If you look at the campaign over here, the expansion is alone only $18. The original game was somewhere in that range as well, plus shipping, obviously, factor that in. But this is one where, honestly, I was a little surprised. This is one I wouldn't necessarily predict it being one that holds its value. This is one that, it is a set collection tile game where you're basically pulling different tiles with different scoring criteria in terms of how to actually win the game. And it is light, it is breezy, but it's also pretty. So hopefully it's a good game. It's definitely a good enough game for sure. And whether it's for you or not, look into that. But if you are interested in backing this one, go for it. I don't think it's a bad back. I don't think it's a good back, but it's one that if you're willing to go through the trouble of selling a game on the secondary market, this is one where you'll probably get roughly your money back. Maybe you'll lose on shipping, but hey, it's part of the experience. You definitely, yeah, it's not that you can't all be winners and losers, but it's definitely reasonably priced. Although obviously, as you go through the pledge levels, that will increase. There are different pledge levels all the way up to this $72 pledge for the base game plus the Moonlight bundle in wooden, because this game does have two options. It has the retail edition and then has the deluxe, all more, not all, but more wooden edition with all the extras in it. This is one that if you are interested in it, check it out, figure out which pledge level to go through. There's a lot, and I already have a long enough list. I'm not going to go through every single one, but it's an okay back. I wouldn't necessarily have thought of it, but looking into it, it does seem like it's an okay back. From there, we have Oversiege, which is a bad back with a selling point. Now, what does that mean? So, $26,000 raised, $500 goal, 818 backers, and 7 days to go. So, subtract 3 or 4 days to go, whatever it is. And this is one where it's basically a card game where you're attacking each other. You each have a fortress. You each have, weapons that you're attacking each other. Looks interesting, looks fun. But for $15 plus $6 shipping to get this game, that's $21 for 2 decks of cards, which is fairly overpriced. And I don't see the demand being there for this. I don't see the aftermarket being there in such a way that you'll be able to get your $21 back if this is not a game for you. I would consider this a throwaway pledge. $21, I want to have fun, this game looks interesting, so I'm in for it. I will note as an interesting selling point, because I thought this was a great idea, a good job on their part, but if you look over here, they talk about remote play. This is a game where, since each deck is standardized and players draw from their own cards, you can easily play this remotely over a video chat with anyone in the world who has a deck. That's a great selling point. That is while I would not jump in on this for $28, if you have some friend who you want to hop on Zoom or whatever your video chat is and play a game with them, and you don't have enough games that you are, and you haven't really gotten into Tabletop Simulator or Yucata or any of the online platforms, Board Game Arena, whatever, then this is intriguing. It's a good idea. It's a good selling point. Do I think it's a great back? No. If it's interesting to you, are you losing a lot of money? $28, it's not necessarily, sorry, 15 plus 6, $21. It's not necessarily a ton. The 28 gives you 2 Oversiege games. So that's basically it. That's Oversiege. Cute, little, interesting game. Don't see the demand being there to holding its value, but if you're interested, check it out. From there, we have Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun is... I just realized something which I'm going to regret in a minute. I'll come back to that. Tutankhamun is a game that is by Reiner Knizia, and this is, he just had another game come out, which was Whale Riders. Whale Riders, which I covered in my last video, it just came out. But this is a reprint of an existing game. This is by Chad Elkins from 25th Century Games. They've done a bunch of games under the belt. They have Space Explorers. They have other games I'm not remembering offhand, but I can click on that, but I'm going to skip that for right now. But Tutankhamun is a reprint of a game. And this is a little bit of a tough one because as a starting point, it's a reprint of a game that is rated a 6.1 on BoardGameGeek, which, I mean, of all the games you're going to pick for a reprint, I wouldn't think you'd want to pick a low-rated game to reprint. I don't think the demand was necessarily there, and with, you know, just shy of hitting its goal, I think that's probably indicated here, and you're starting with an uphill battle. I just think it was a bad tactical move, because they have made changes to this game. They have said that they've updated it, they've added, you know, different things to bring it up to date or whatnot, both visually as well as mechanically, but anyone who knows where the game's coming from, it's an uphill battle. You have to convince people now that this is not a 6.1. I think this is a tough one. I don't think this is, because this is where it gets tricky, because right now we have a very small number of backers. A very small number of backers, and if the campaign ends there, then you might wind up in a situation where finding a copy on the aftermarket, especially if they did do a good job, if they did a good job upgrading it so that now it's a 7.3, a 7.5, somewhere in that range, then that's definitely something to take into account when you consider whether or not this is a game you're going to back, or whether you're going to rely on the fact that you can get it on the aftermarket, but how many copies are there available? I don't think it's the safest back. They have a bunch of pledge levels here. They have $29 for the standard edition, and this probably will go to retail. Based on 25th Century's games in general, there probably will be a retail copy available for less than $29 plus shipping. So if you're interested in the standard edition, I'd recommend waiting. I will note, it's not a guarantee that this will go to retail, especially with the funding levels we're seeing here. There's no guarantees in life, and games that aren't necessarily Kickstarter exclusive, if there's not enough demand, they may not get a print run that justifies going to retail. So this might be your only chance. Keep that in mind as you follow this campaign. I will say it looks pretty, and gameplay-wise, it's pulling me in, but that aspect of my uphill battle challenge of you have to convince people it's not a 6.1, that's my problem with this campaign. I am visually interested in it. I think it looks fun. Quackalo put out a video that, you know, drew me in, very like nice and soft and the usual Quackalo stuff that makes me interested, but I am fighting an uphill battle of, but it's a 6.1, even though it's not, even though it is takes a game and hopefully improved upon it and just made it better. But that is it's definitely a tough one. Past that, if you are going to back it, as usual, I recommend you go in at one of the deluxe pledges that gives you something extra. The Pharaoh's Edition at $49 gives you the deluxe edition, deluxe mini expansion, and all applicable stretch goals. Both the retail and the deluxe pledges give you the option to purchase a playmat, which does look pretty. The playmat's, you know, over here somewhere as I scroll quickly through the page. The playmat is over here. Looks pretty, you know, put your tiles along the river. I assume you can make the tiles match the river. I'm not certain, but if you can't, it's just going to be visually awkward, but I assume you can. But anyways, it does look fun. I recommend checking it out if you're interested in it, especially because of those low funding levels. While on the one hand, I don't think this is the safest back, the low funding levels does mean that it might be your best chance to get this game. From there, we have Escape the Night, and this is why I laughed a few seconds ago, because of all the videos I could possibly have picked to decide to randomly sing in the beginning, I picked the one that is most likely to bring in a host of people who aren't, you know, used to my channel. Hi guys, I am Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo, and I talk about Kickstarter games. If you are here for Escape the Night, if you are not one of my usual viewers, let's go into it. Let's cover Escape the Night, and I apologize for my singing earlier, which I definitely didn't edit out because I don't edit anything. Anyways, Escape the Night, the board game. This is a tough one that almost deserves its own video, and the reason it's not getting its own video is because I don't think my target audience as a core really cares about this kind of game. But if you popped in here because you are, you know, you're Googling Escape the Night and you want to see if you should back it, that's an excellent time, and welcome to the channel and welcome to the wider world of board games, because Escape the Night is basically based on a YouTube series by Joey Graceffa, who has a YouTube series called Escape the Night, does a bunch of YouTube content, and he has a passionate fan base who is happily going to shell out $420,000 to get this game. Now, for our audience, or my audience, again, depends who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a regular board gamer, if I'm talking to someone who's here for Escape the Night. But there is a wide world of board games out there that you should definitely check out. There are a lot of great games, and Escape the Night might be one of them, but I'm a little bit skeptical, and we'll get into why. But you should definitely check out, head on over to Board Game Geek, head on over to some of my other videos where I talk about different, you know, check out my list of top 10 kids games or couples games. There are a lot of great games out there that you may have never heard of, and you should definitely introduce yourself to them. Baron Park is a great game. If you like Escape the Night, try One Night Ultimate Werewolf. That will give you, oh my gosh, that'll give you a great experience for you and your friends. It's something worth checking out. That giant tangent aside, because I'm wondering who I'm talking to right now, let's go into Escape the Night. Escape the Night by Joey Graceffa is a game where I am instantly dismissive of it. From a stance of regular board games, not regular board games, from a stance of designer games, I'm dismissive of it because, first of all, it's based on a YouTube series that is not catered towards, well, me, you, or whoever. Secondly, while in the video in the campaign, Joey says that, well, he loves Escape the Night and he loves the wider world of board games and he loves playing board games. That's great. But then he follows it up with Escape the Night has aspects of gameplay that he's never seen in any game before, which is not a good sign, because that means whatever thought process I had that maybe Joey plays Catan, maybe Joey plays Raiders of the North Sea, maybe he's really into quality designer board games, well, that goes out the window when he says we have new things that you've never seen in another board game before. That tells me that Joey plays other games, nothing wrong with them, but probably not great games. Additionally, if you look at the campaign, while it actually does look decently interesting, if you watch the first minute of that video, it does look like a decently interesting game. It looks like maybe, just maybe, he actually does know about other game mechanics. Maybe they incorporated some aspects of different things into this game, but again, I don't think so. But it does look like it might be interesting. I just don't have confidence in that. There's a difference between, hey, this might be a good game, versus I have confidence in a good game. And am I willing to bet that this is going to be the game that just magically happened to be a great game along with the world of great games out there? I'm reluctant to believe so. This game comes in at $40 for the basic game, $65 from there, and they keep going up and up, giving you different options, different rewards, and it might really be fun. If you're someone who likes Escape the Night, this might be a great game for you. If you are someone who is here because you like the wider world of board games that we talk about a lot on this channel, then I just don't think I have the confidence that this will deliver an experience that measures up to any other game. As far as the resale value, I mean, I don't see it being high, because there's a lot of people who are going to be backing this game who don't really, necessarily care. But the flip side is they're probably not selling this game on channels you care about. If you're interested in this game, I recommend waiting and checking it on eBay. eBay's probably your best bet. That's where you'll find copies of this for sale in, a year after it launches or whenever. So that's it. It's a tough one. This earns the distinguishing degree of the most successful Kickstarter that I am not giving its own video, because, like I said, it's not really our audience as much. That's it. And then from there we have Kleos by Azure Horizon Games. Kleos is produced by Azure Horizon Games, which mostly seems like a one-man team. I could be wrong, but if it is a one-man team, he's done a decent enough job with being a one-man team. He has created a board game. He has created I believe it was Tabletop Simulator. Perhaps it was Tabletopia. I don't recall. Tabletop Simulator. So he has a Tabletop Simulator that they created over here with the Kleos Board Game Facebook group. Could be other people did it. Don't know. But all in all, still impressive. This is a game that might be super interesting, but is definitely a risk. This definitely very strongly falls into the, supporting a creator category as opposed to the value proposition getting your money back category, because it's just barely funded. 304 days to go. There are aspects of this game. I mean, the overall game does seem to be fairly impressive considering a one-man team, but on the weaker side when you weigh it up against, more established companies putting out a lot of good games out there. The price point as well at $49 plus shipping is a lot when you compare it to what you can get that is known to be good. If you want a good game and you like go ahead and get Cyclades. Go ahead and get Innis, Blood Rage, Cry Havoc. There are so many good games out there in that range that actually have an established audience, that people like them. We know that. But, and here's the flip side, like I said, there is a tabletop simulator for this game. So if you are on the fence, if you are not sure if this is a game for you, then give it a check on Tabletop Simulator. Go ahead, download Tabletop Simulator, try it out. The fact that they're giving people the opportunity to try it, if you are interested in it, I recommend giving it that shot and then potentially supporting a creator. I can tell you for myself, and we'll cover this in some of the games on this list. If I've tried a game, I am more willing to pay more than I think it's worth, because then I get a game that I like earlier, and that's always fun, and there's less of a risk of me losing out because I enjoy it. So if you're interested, I recommend trying it out. If you're looking for the value proposition aspect without trying it out, I think it's a hard sell. Next up, we have Turris. Turris is another hard one. We do have some wins today, I think. I don't really know. I have to go through them. But Turris is a hard one because this is a first-time creator with, first-time designer. This is their second Kickstarter in a sense, only because Turris, the first one, canceled. So there's a lot of reasons to be skeptical of this game, off the bat. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad game at all. None of this means it's a bad game. It just means that I see very little reasons to believe that it will be a good game. There's less confidence in the product, and that matters a lot more when you're talking about a $78 plus shipping base pledge and a $104 shipping, $104 plus shipping for the all-in. That is a lot of money to risk on a first-time creator, first-time designer with a previously canceled Kickstarter. Although the previously canceled Kickstarter, I don't know if I really hold that against them. That's just a question of finding your audience, and this time around they have $44,000 backed with $26,000 goal. Rahdo has a review on it. Rahdo's sub-channel, I don't remember their names, but they did a review of it. They have that covered. I highly recommend watching that if you want some context. There are some other reviewers as well. Let me find them over here. Where are they? Over here we have Rahdo, we have Man vs. Meeple did a preview, and then we have the Play It Right by Cardboard Rhino did as well, and she talked a lot about the theme, the immersion. One of the things I did like from watching Rahdo's coverage of it, again, not Rahdo, but sub-Rahdo, is that the aspect of many things that are bad in this game aren't necessarily bad. Like, for instance, I love it in Blood Rage. I think one of the best things about Blood Rage is losing battles in Blood Rage can be very instrumental to winning effectively. And most things in this game, they said, are bad but can be good, so it's a good thing overall. That aspect really did appeal to me. But I think it's a very high price point with not enough confidence in the product, and that does unfortunately make this not a safe back. Doesn't mean that you will be able to get cheaper later. Well, it depends where the funding goes. With 478 backers, that's not a lot, and if this game is good, if this game is well liked, it will be harder to get later. So it does fall into that smaller project, might be good, definitely risk. I recommend checking out the videos and making that determination for yourself to get a feeling of whether it's a game that's right for you. Next up from there, we have Petrichor. Petrichor, which I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, I don't really know. Petrichor is this is a tough one. So this is a game that I have no interest in, but now I really want to get it. I really, really want to get this game. I'm not, but maybe, just maybe you should. And let's get into that. Petrichor is a game that, again, hope I'm pronouncing correctly, it's a game that I've seen a lot over the place, but nothing ever pulled me in, and part of that is the rating. It's rated a 7 on BoardGameGeek, and as my collection grows, as I get more and more games that I love, I tend to use ratings as a gatekeeper. Anything under a 7.5, I am already mentally critical of, unless someone else puts out a review that I know, that I trust, that aligns with my tastes. Meaning, in other words, ratings to me are just a gatekeeper that, if someone else recommends it, I am willing to jump on in. I'm happy to try something out, and I have many games in my collection under a 7. But I have to factor in what games I'm going to get, because there are so many good games. And Petrichor, I had no interest in. And then I did this campaign video, and now I really, 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 really want to get it. So first of all, watch the video. I do recommend watching the video unless you're trying to save money, because that video will pull you into the game. Petrichor is a game where you are clouds, and ultimately it's a puzzle, and honestly it makes me a little bit more interested in, I might just get this, we'll find out, I don't know. But it's a game that, looking at why it's a 7, if you look at the ratings on BoardGameGeek, a lot of people feel it's a little bit too solo-y, it's a little bit too much of just a puzzle and an optimization game with minimal interaction, and that doesn't bother me, honestly. That's not something that I care about at all. That if anything, that pulls me in. And some people say it's great for solo play, and that might be a good reason to get it, and I'm talking myself into getting it as I speak more and more. But the thing with Petrichor is I do only recommend getting it, from a value proposition at least. I only recommend getting it if you're kind of jumping in at the all-in, because that's the best deal that they are offering here. Because as you go through this campaign, we have different pledge levels. I'll go through the actual campaign pictures itself. Let's go through this, because this is useful. There are 4 simple actions where you have cards. With frost, you make new clouds. With sun, you add more water. With wind, you move clouds around. And with rain, you water the crops. Like I said, it's a puzzle, and it's a puzzle with a cute, whimsical theme, and a cute, whimsical campaign, and cute, whimsical expansion with this little cow meeple that is absolutely adorable. I mean, this game is about clouds and being a cloud, and the expansions are honeys and cows, and oh my gosh, I think I'm just going to hit back when this thing is over, but the cows is the final expansion. That's relevant because one of the things they are offering in this game is a big box for the game. And they have a climate board and a whole new climate-sensitive trees and different things over here, and the volcano promo tiles. And some of the promos for this game are hard to get, and you should factor that into your decision, especially if this is a game you want, you're interested in. And what this expansion does is exactly what I want an expansion to do. Cows take a game that I already love and builds in it, adds a little extra. With Robert Geislinger? I don't know. I actually just played a game with Robert. I just played Hello Neighbor with Robert, and in fact, if we go back to Tutankhamun, I played it with Robert and here we go, where we are, with Matt Paquette and Robert. I played a game with them, Hello Neighbor. They were both good. They were both on my team. Go ahead and go to Arcane Wonders Facebook page. You could watch a video where I played Hello Neighbor with a bunch of people, including Robert and Matt. We had a lot of fun, and we won, which is the important thing. You only play games to win, not to have fun, to win. I'm joking, just to be clear. Anyways, Petrichor over here, the collector's expansion box. It adds this collector's edition box, custom molded floating clouds, and a complete and unified rulebook, which for those of you who have games with expansions, that's a good thing. That's not a small detail. It's so much better when you have one rulebook as opposed to multiple spread out, constantly referencing what the way and how do I teach this game. I'm going to have to teach the game, then I'm going to add the cows expansion. It's actually a good thing. We have game trays, all these things together that fit into one box with everything, including sleeved cards. That's important if you're a sleever like I am. And all that for the price of, well, it kind of depends. So we have the flowers expansion, the honeybees expansion. Again, cute little things that just add for you. Which pledge is for you? Well, it depends what you already have. So to begin with, we have for $19 plus shipping, we have the Petrichor cows expansion plus the promo tiles and the stretch goals in this campaign. At the Master Agriculturist, you have the upgraded collector's edition upgrade kit, so you can now get that big box. I assume you get the rulebook with that. I don't actually know, but you have all that stuff. You have the cows expansion and the Volcano Venus flytrap, so you get a bunch of stuff extra and you deluxify your current edition. And then this is the big one because of the price point. For $99, you basically get everything. You get all the stuff you got here, plus you get the base game, plus the flowers expansion, plus the honeybee expansion, plus the Antol Lake and Cactus promo tile, and all that for only an extra $25, $35 on top of this pledge. That's a great deal. I mean, I think it's a great deal. It sounds like a great deal. If you go on Miniature Market, buying those expansions alone, they'll cost you in the range of $65, and you only have to pay an extra $35, but you have to factor in the whole package. So for $100, you get what would cost you a Miniature Market already $100, already $65, plus the new expansion, plus promos, plus getting it all earlier. I think that $99 pledge level is the way to go. To the point where I'd almost consider, even if you're just backing at this pledge level, I'd honestly consider bumping up to $99 just so you can gift away the extras or trade them to someone else if you already have them. I'd almost consider that, especially if you like the game or someone you know has expressed an interest in the game. Keep in mind, that's something to consider. I think this pledge level is an excellent deal. I haven't looked at the comments. I imagine there's a little bit of pushback because I'm sure this is one of those situations where previous owners, previous backers feel a little bit like they're not getting as good a deal, and it doesn't look like they are. But sometimes that's the way things work, and it's very often easier to just package things all together into one thing. As of now, I'm not backing this, but I make no guarantees that I will not back this by the end of the campaign. I think this pledge level is a great choice, and if you look at the aftermarket sales on this game, they're okay. And it's hard because I have to go back some time because I looked at the original Kickstarters of Petrichor and tried to figure out how much they went for, and they mostly seem to hold their value for those first few months after. Now, we are talking years later from that first introduction of Petrichor, so I can't compare it to recent sales. That's not fair. But, right away after, they seem to mostly do a decent job holding its value. But then again, the ratings have, indicated themselves to a degree, so I think really the safe pledge here is the $99 one. For any other pledge level, you're probably just getting it because you already have the base game. In which case, is that really that bad? I mean, go ahead. You're getting content for a game you like. Will it be available cheaper later? I mean, not if you're looking into this big box as well and everything else. Not significantly so at the very least. So yeah, Petrichor is one that I am pulled in by. I may or may not back it. I am super interested in the picture they are painting for me, while being a little skeptical because of the ratings and because I already have too many games that I don't personally play. From there, we have Token Terror's Battleground. Token Terror's Battleground is a game that it's a slightly harder one. This is one that the pledge level and the cost is what's pushing me away from this. This is also another first-time creator. We have a lot of those in the video today, and this one looks intriguing. This is another one that Crackalope has a video of. He has a gameplay video as well as another video. I recommend checking them out. They really do pull me in. They make me look like they might be a fun game, but also it's a light, simple skirmish game, and those games in general, I find that sometimes they're really cute for 1 or 2 plays, and then as you play them more, you realize that you have other good games, and maybe this one isn't the one that you really need. And the problem with that is at the pledge level cost for $45 to get everything in that, those first six of each faction or whatnot in the Token Terror Season 1, because you could buy individual faction packs. You could do that. But then it's already going to be $10 per faction pack, and then once you count in shipping, maybe you should just get this faction pack instead. Maybe it's a better deal. But it's still a decent amount of money for what ultimately is a fairly small box game, where ultimately this is This is a hard one. I am not backing this. I am interested in getting it down the road, but it's a little too much money for a game that I don't think will have staying power personally. As far as the secondary market, again, we have that same problem. We have $22,000 funded, $20,000 raised, 377 backers. It's a small available pool to potentially get this later, which means it's a small available pool of people who actually turn around and trade or sell it or get rid of their copy, and that might make it harder to get. If you are interested in this, it's a hard call. It's a hard call. I am personally backing it. I am skeptical of the value, but if you are interested in it, this might be your best shot. From there, we have the Fuzzies. I don't know if I should. I'm going to cover this differently in the sense that the Fuzzies is a toy, and we cover this. I have a podcast with Quackalope. I mention them a lot. I like them, but I have a weekly podcast with Quackalope called The Weekly Quack, and we talked about the Fuzzies, and you can check that out. Just Google The Weekly Quack, find the podcast or whatever. But the Fuzzies is a toy. I don't think it's a game, and I think it's indicated because when you search on BoardGameGeek for this, it doesn't come up, at least not yet. I think this is Jenga, but with little balls that stick to each other. It might be a ton of fun, to be very clear. I'm not being dismissive of anyone who wants to play this game and have fun with it, but I can't imagine this will hold its value. Additionally, and this is a factor, it says something about the game when half the campaign page is really just talking about the success of Monikers and Wavelength. Now, to be clear, I think Monikers is one of the best party games of all time. I think Wavelength was fun, good for the right people, but probably doesn't have staying power. And I think this is a step backwards. It doesn't mean it won't be fun. I'm sure it'll be fun for a bunch of, giggles and laughs as you play it and watch it fall, but it's probably going to be a super hassle to clean up, probably super annoying to constantly deal with, and I don't imagine it has staying power past being a fun little light engaging toy. If you're interested in it, go ahead and back it. If you want to buy a great present for your kids and watch your kids go crazy, go ahead and back it. If you're looking for a game for yourself that involves stacking things, can I recommend, what's it called? Junk Art is a great game. Meeple Circus is a great game. If you're looking for stacking games that introduce gameplay elements, there are better games. If you're looking for a fun family, little group of laughs for $20-$30, go ahead and back this one. I don't believe there'll be that much of a secondary market for it. I just don't think the demand for a bunch of fuzzballs is that high. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. And lastly, I think it's last on this list, we have Shakka Shredders, which sadly doesn't look like it's going to fun. I'm a little bit surprised by that just because of the sheer amount of advertising I saw for this game. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just my Facebook feed, but I saw this one all over the place. I have to imagine it was heavily advertised. Again, maybe it's just me. Maybe I Googled Shakka one time and just thought that I was looking for, I don't know what happened. But this game is a collectible. I don't know if it's actually collectible. The premises exist around collectible games. I think this one's more localized, but this is one where you have something called swap top cards, where you can have the magnetic top. Let me see if I find a GIF over here. I'm sure they have something here. But you have the top of one half can be overlaid on the bottom of another half, producing a card that gives you, well, a card, obviously, but you get that combination. You could, if you ever had a creature with one ability and the art of this and the ability of that, and you wanted to combine them, it's a great concept. It's a little gimmicky, and I think I'd have a hard time really seeing it play out in real life because you'd have to remember so many different facets of cards when you're like, I'm playing my Shreddzilla with the terrifying tan lines, like, you have to remember the tops and bottom, which makes it much harder in a competitive game. But the game looks interesting. The gimmick looks interesting. It's priced too high, and I think it's more gimmicky than it is good. So sadly, I would recommend to stick with the lack of support, unfortunately, and I don't think this is one that will hold its value. I think this is more gimmicky than staying around. I wish them much success, and it does look good. The artwork is great. I love the artwork. I love how it pulls you in there. I just don't think the gameplay behind it is that core past the gimmick they are presenting. That's basically it. I'm going to do 3 quick run-throughs of other games, but I'm not actually covering them, and that's basically Core Clash will be in next week's update. I still haven't decided if this one's getting a dedicated video or not. I still need to look into it more, which is why I'm not covering it right now. I need to develop more of an opinion on this one, but I didn't have time to get into it right now, and we have 23 days left, so that is plenty of time. From there, we have Northgard and Shattered Lands. I covered that already in a full video, but they are indeed sending me a review copy, so I will be playing it, covering it, hopefully. I have 31 days to go, which should be plenty of time. I am looking forward to being able to give my opinion, hopefully super positive, but I haven't played it, so I'm a little bit nervous about that. And lastly, Lizard Wizard is one that I will also be covering later. I have a review copy that just arrived today. Today being Friday, not Monday, which means by the time you're watching this, I've already played it, and in fact, I have already played it by the time I'm recording this because I played this online on Tabletop Simulator, or Tabletopia. On Tabletopia, I already played this, and I really enjoyed it with caveats, and so I requested a review copy to to get a little bit more of a feel before I put out an opinion on it, because I had caveats, and I think those caveats would be resolved in person. So we'll cover that, but I will likely be backing this because I really liked it, at least based on my Tabletopia play, and again, that's with reservations. So that's basically a taste of what's coming up this week and or on next week's roundup. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my awkward singing in the beginning. I don't know what I do here. I'm just drunk. Anyways, I am Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo. I hope you liked. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment which one of these games are you interested, not interested. Are you interested in, I don't know, Petrichor? I'm interested in Petrichor. You know, actually, forget everything else I said. If you like Petrichor and you think I should get Petrichor, please let me know in the comments down below. I want to be sold on this game. I really do. I think the value's there. I'm just being pushed off on the fact that I have too many games, and this, I don't know if I really would pull this out unless it's worth it, unless it's a great game. For context, I like Terraforming Mars, both solo and regular. I don't know if this compares to that at all. I just got that puzzly feel from it in terms of solo play, and I like a bunch of games. I don't know. If you think I should play Petrichor, I would love to know in the comments down below. And if you are interested in anything else, subscribe and like, and I will see you next time.